This is the Fantech EOS Mini, another compact and affordable little gaming controller. But it also doubles as a shortcut remote for digital drawing and painting, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. Let's dive in. Hey, Ryan here. So I do a bit of gaming, usually on my laptop with a keyboard and mouse, but occasionally with a controller as well. Of course, I also do digital drawing and painting, and for that I like to have a remote off to the side where I have my most used shortcuts programmed into it. Having a controller that can serve both of those modes is pretty convenient, especially while on the move, changing different locations and different desk setups, where I like to keep things a little slimmer and definitely a little lighter. There are plenty of controller options out there on the market, the latest of which is this EOS Mini, which the team from Fantech sent over for me to review. It's really nice so far, but there is one big drawback, and I'll get to that a little later in the video. First, let's take a look at what's in the box. There is, of course, the controller, a USB-A to USB-C cable for charging and wired play, a lanyard, quick start guide, and warranty card. It comes in 4 different colors. Of course, I picked up this gray NES-style one, but it also comes in black and this light pink and blue. The controller has a nice curved shape to it with a total of 19 buttons. 13 here on the top. On this top side, we have the left and right shoulder and triggers, and a USB-C port in the middle. On the bottom, we have another 2 buttons and LED indicator lights for battery status and what mode you're pairing in. On the back, there's a reset button and a lanyard hole. It took me an embarrassingly long time to actually thread this lanyard through because the space here is really tiny. For gaming, the EOS Mini is compatible with PC, Android, iOS, and Switch. But we're only looking at using this for digital art on computer because at around $13, it may be a nice low-cost way to add a little extra convenience to your workflow. There are 4 modes that you can pair in. One is productivity mode, which has a bunch of pre-assigned shortcuts for standard stuff. Undo, page down, screenshot, that kind of thing. These are all listed in the quick start guide, but I'm going to be customizing my buttons to use in my painting apps. So I'm going to pair it in X input mode. To do this, you press and hold the pairing button and then the B button. The indicator lights will flash and then it's ready to be picked up by my computer. Fantech doesn't have their own software for changing the keybinds here, so we're going to get Anti-Micro X, which they recommended. I'll put a link for it down below. I did also try DS for Windows, but the controller wasn't detected there. Setting things up is pretty straightforward. You press the button on the controller and it highlights it in the software on your screen. Then you can click on it, assign a keyboard key, and save. But for combination shortcuts, there is an extra step. You can't just perform the shortcut and it automatically assigns that. You have to first set the first key, then open these advanced settings, and over here, press this button so that the 3 dots appear, and then press the next key on your keyboard, and now you've got a combination shortcut. Maybe an unnecessary number of clicks to do something quite simple, but not a big deal once you know what to do. If you want shortcuts assigned for multiple apps, you're going to have to set profiles for each of them and manually switch between them. This is not going to work the same way as shortcut remotes from drawing tablet companies like XP Pen or Huion. Same with Tourbox, where it automatically switches the shortcut settings based on the app that you're using. Now, another important thing to note is that only 14 of the 19 buttons are customizable. These 2 over here and also Capture and Turbo are hardware buttons, and then the home button as well, when used wirelessly, is not customizable. If you plug it in via cable, then you can set something to this. Maybe this is because when using the controller wirelessly, the home button wakes the controller up and re-establishes a connection. Using it feels good. It's comfortable in the hand, really light. I hold it like this with the bottom buttons facing into my hand so that I can more easily use the shoulder buttons, but I did find myself hitting them accidentally fairly often. So I want to show you how I've customized my EOS Mini over here. Coming from a keyboard or a Tourbox, you really have to think hard about what to program in here because you have far fewer buttons available. So only the essentials can go in here. For the D-pad, I'm using this to change my brush size and opacity. I'm always adjusting those settings. These are for switching between my different tools, the brush, the eraser, blend tool, and then this for the eyedropper, which normally I have programmed into the front button of my pen. And this is for adding a new layer, this is for undo, and then the shoulders and triggers are for things related to my viewport. So the top one lets me flip my canvas back and forth. Next is switching to grayscale mode to check my values. That bottom one is for switching back to fit to screen mode, which I hit accidentally quite frequently. And lastly, triggering my reference window. Now, is all this enough? This is going to depend on you, your process, and what other tools you're using. I like to keep a relatively simple workflow, so I can adapt to this fairly easily, but also because of what my tools offer me. Here I've got the Wacom Moving 13, which supports touch. And because of that, I don't have to worry about programming in my zoom or rotate functions. I can even free up the undo action here as well. Then with the Pro Pen 3 that it comes with, this has got 3 buttons along the side that I can customize too. If you like to use the express keys along the side of your tablet, like this in EOS Pro for example, having a controller this small lets you get more shortcuts without having to reach off for something else off to the side. You can still hold the controller and hit all of these. Now, what about mobile? I mentioned that there was one big drawback to this controller, and it's this. While it's great for gaming on Android or your iPad, you can't customize the keys for use on mobile. The settings that you've changed on computer are saved to the computer, not directly to the controller. This is a big difference between the Fantech EOS Mini and the 8-bit Do Micro. They are both similar in weight and size. The Micro, though, has an additional 2 buttons that you can set. The EOS Mini has up to 20 hours of battery life, while this only has up to 12. But 8-bit Do has their own dedicated software for mobile, and when you customize the keys, it's saved directly to the controller. So you can then pair that with any other device, and the shortcuts remain the same. So to wrap up, for $13, I think the Fantech EOS Mini is a really nice little controller to have with you in your pocket, especially if you like to do some gaming on the go, or if you only do digital art on your computer. If you think it might work for you, then you can find out more on the Fantech website linked below. But if you prefer drawing on mobile, or like me, you bounce around between an iPad and your computer, then you might want to check out some other options. I'll have a playlist linked right over here with some more controller reviews. That's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you Fantech for sending this over. Ciao!